It was a peaceful morning in the local park. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon, casting a golden glow over the trees. The air was crisp, and the birds were chirping merrily in the distance. But amid the tranquility, something tragic was about to unfold. A bobcat, its fur matted and its movements slow and erratic, limped through the underbrush. Its once agile legs were now useless, and it could barely hold itself up as it struggled to move. The animal had been in an accident, its leg badly broken in a hunter's trap. With no one around to help, it had dragged itself through the park, seeking safety and shelter from the pain. The bobcat's breath came in shallow, labored gasps. It had been wandering aimlessly for what seemed like hours, but the pain in its leg was unbearable. Every step sent a wave of agony through its body, but the animal pushed on, driven by the instinct to find help. It finally reached a small playground area near the heart of the park. As the bobcat reached the soft grass, it collapsed, its broken leg buckling beneath it. The bobcat let out a quiet, pitiful cry, its eyes filled with fear. It looked around desperately, but there was no one in sight. The park was usually busy with joggers, families, and children playing, but on this day, it seemed empty. It was as though the world had forgotten about the injured creature in its midst. But there, on the edge of the playground, stood a small figure, watching the scene unfold with wide, curious eyes. 4-year-old Alex, a bright-eyed boy with messy brown hair, had been playing on the swings. He was the only one around, and when he saw the bobcat struggling, something stirred inside him. The boy had a big heart, one that could never ignore the suffering of another living being, no matter how small or large. He toddled over to the injured bobcat, his tiny footsteps light on the soft grass. Alex wasn't afraid of the animal in front of him. He simply saw something that needed help, and he was determined to do something about it. "Are you okay?" Alex asked softly, his voice full of concern. His innocent eyes were locked onto the bobcat's, and he could feel the pain it was enduring. The bobcat, weak and exhausted, barely acknowledged the boy's presence. But Alex didn't back away. He crouched down beside the animal, his tiny hands reaching out, gently touching the bobcat's fur. He had no idea what to do, but he felt compelled to do something. Just then, Alex's mother, Sarah, came rushing over, having noticed her son's movements. She had been sitting on a nearby bench, enjoying the quiet morning, when she saw Alex walking toward the wounded animal. "Alex, what are you doing?" Sarah called out, her voice tinged with concern. She quickly crossed the distance between them, but when she saw the bobcat lying on the ground, her heart dropped. "Oh no," Sarah whispered, rushing to her son's side. "It's hurt." Alex looked up at his mother with innocent eyes, his small hand still hovering over the bobcat. "Mom, we need to help it." "It's hurt," he said, his voice so pure, so full of concern that it brought tears to Sarah's eyes. Sarah, now kneeling beside her son, gently placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "Sweetheart, we need to be careful. This animal is hurt, but we need to make sure it's safe. We can't just approach it without knowing what to do." As Sarah assessed the bobcat's injury, she could see that the leg was broken badly. It was a horrific sight. Bones poking through the fur, blood staining the grass beneath it. The bobcat's eyes were half closed, but there was a flicker of recognition in them. It could feel the presence of people, and while it was frightened, it knew that these humans might be its only chance. Alex, with his heart open wide, looked up at his mother again, his small face full of determination. "We need to help him, Mom." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she watched her son's innocent compassion. She knew that at that moment, Alex had already understood something profound that many adults often overlooked, that even the smallest gestures of kindness could change the course of someone's life. "All right, we'll help him," Sarah said softly, her voice cracking slightly as she spoke. "But we need to call for professional help first. We can't take care of this on our own." She quickly grabbed her phone and called Animal Rescue Services. While they waited for help to arrive, Sarah stayed by the bobcat's side, gently speaking to it to try and calm it. Alex, not one to stay idle, crouched down and began talking to the Bobcat, his voice sweet and soothing. "It's okay, we'll fix you. You're going to be okay." A few minutes later, the animal rescue team arrived. They had been notified of the injured Bobcat and rushed to the scene with a stretcher and medical supplies. Alex's eyes were wide as they carefully moved the Bobcat onto the stretcher, taking special care not to hurt it further. As the team worked, Sarah glanced at her son, who was still standing by her side, his eyes glued to the Bobcat. She could see that he was deeply affected by the animal's suffering. His tiny hands were still clenched in fists of determination, and his innocent face held a quiet strength. "I'm proud of you, Alex," Sarah said, her voice filled with emotion. "You did the right thing by helping him." Alex smiled up at his mother, his eyes sparkling with a mix of happiness and relief. "He's going to be okay, right?" "He will be," Sarah assured him, her heart swelling with pride, "because we cared enough to help." As the rescue team took the Bobcat away, Sarah hugged her son close, her own heart heavy with emotion. The Bobcat had been given a second chance at life, all thanks to the compassion and kindness of a 4-year-old boy who couldn't stand to see another creature in pain. And for Alex, the simple act of helping someone in need had left an indelible mark on his heart, a lesson that would stay with him for the rest of his life. As the sirens faded in the distance and the animal rescue van drove away, Alex stood frozen in place, his eyes following the vehicle until it disappeared from view. His heart was racing, not from fear, but from an overwhelming feeling of accomplishment. He had helped an injured creature, something that not many people could say they had done. The weight of the situation began to settle in. It wasn't just about saving a Bobcat. It was about doing what was right when no one else was around to help. His mother, Sarah, approached him slowly, her footsteps gentle on the grass. She noticed a concern etched on his face as he continued to stare at the spot where the van had been. "You did a good thing, Alex," she said softly, standing next to him. Her voice was full of pride, but there was a touch of worry there too. The situation had been intense, and she knew her son had been affected by it more than he let on. Alex glanced up at his mom, his eyes wide. "But, Mom, do you think he'll be okay? The Bobcat. I mean, he was hurt so badly." Sarah smiled, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear as she sat down on the nearby bench. "The rescue team is made up of experts. They've seen many situations like this before. They know how to treat injuries like his. He'll be in good hands, and with time, he'll recover." "I hope so," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I wanted to help him more, but I didn't know how." Sarah placed a comforting hand on her son's shoulder. "Sometimes, Alex, all you can do is what you're able to do in the moment. You did everything right by getting help. You showed kindness, and that's what matters." Alex nodded, but his mind was still with the Bobcat, and the image of its painful, limping form stayed with him. He couldn't shake the feeling that the creature, despite its wildness, had looked at him with a sense of trust, almost as if it knew that Alex was the one who could help. He wondered if the Bobcat felt scared, or if it had known that people cared. "Will we ever see him again?" Alex asked, his voice filled with uncertainty. "Maybe," Sarah replied. "Sometimes animals recover fully, and they return to their natural habitat. But other times, they might stay in a safe place for a while until they're strong enough to go back. We can hope for the best, right?" "I just don't want him to be in pain anymore," Alex admitted, his voice soft. "It's so sad to see anyone hurt, especially when they're just trying to survive." "Life can be tough sometimes," Sarah said, her tone turning more reflective. "But it's moments like these that teach us the most. It teaches us to be kind, to help those who need it, and to never turn our backs on someone or something just because it's too hard to watch." Alex turned to look at her, trying to absorb her words. He wasn't sure if he fully understood yet, but something in the way she spoke made him feel like he was on the right path. His mom was right. Sometimes life was difficult, and it wasn't always easy to watch the suffering around us. But doing something, no matter how small, was always better than doing nothing. Just as they were about to sit quietly for a moment, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, checking the screen. It was a message from the animal rescue team. She opened it quickly and read aloud. "Good news, Alex. The Bobcat is stable now. We've set his leg and he's resting. It looks like he's going to make a full recovery. Thank you for helping us find him. You saved his life." Alex's face lit up with a wide smile. "He's going to be okay." He said it as if the words were a prayer, something he'd been wishing for the whole time. Sarah smiled too, but there was something deeper in her eyes. It was the same pride she felt when Alex had helped, but also a realization of how much this moment had changed him. He wasn't just a playful, curious boy who loved animals. He was becoming someone who understood the power of compassion and action. "See," Sarah said, ruffling his hair. "You did it. You helped save a life today. Not everyone gets to say that." As Alex processed the news, his thoughts began to drift back to the Bobcat. He wondered where it was now, what it looked like, and how it would be in the coming days. But what he didn't realize was that this experience was going to stay with him far beyond that day. The act of kindness and the power of helping when it mattered most was something that would shape him forever. Later that afternoon, Alex and his mom walked back home, the sunlight beginning to fade as the park emptied out around them. As they crossed the street, Alex suddenly stopped in his tracks. "Mom, I think I want to do something," he said, looking at her with a newfound determination in his eyes. "What is it, sweetheart?" Sarah asked, her curiosity piqued. "I want to volunteer with the rescue team. Maybe I can help other animals, like the Bobcat. If I can, I want to be there for them." Sarah's heart swelled with pride. "That's a wonderful idea, Alex. I think you'd be great at it. And who knows, maybe you'll end up doing this for the rest of your life." Alex grinned, the excitement bubbling up inside him. He didn't know where this new journey would take him, but he was ready. He was ready to make a difference, one small act of kindness at a time. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the quiet streets, Alex couldn't help but feel that, in some small way, he had just taken a first step toward becoming the person he wanted to be. A person who cared, a person who helped, a person who saw a need and stepped in without hesitation. And somewhere out there in the quiet safety of the rescue center, a Bobcat rested, its leg healing, its trust in humanity restored, and its journey toward freedom just beginning, all because of one small boy's big heart. Weeks passed since Alex had helped the injured Bobcat. The days had blurred together as he went about his life, but something inside him had shifted. The memory of that moment in the park, when he had helped the creature in pain, stayed with him. The feeling of making a real difference, even if just for one animal, stayed with him in a way he hadn't expected. Every day, he woke up excited, eager to help with any small thing he could. His desire to contribute had grown exponentially. He had even signed up to volunteer at the local animal shelter, just waiting for his chance to make an even bigger impact. It was on a sunny Saturday morning, 3 weeks after the Bobcat's rescue, when Sarah received another message from the animal rescue team. She was busy with household chores, but when she read the text, she froze, her hand gripping the phone tightly. The message was simple yet powerful. "Alex, we have great news. The Bobcat has been released back into the wild today. He's doing well, and we want to thank you personally for your help." Alex, who had been quietly drawing in the living room, perked up when he heard his mom's excited voice. "Mom, what's wrong?" Sarah looked at him, her eyes full of emotion. "You did it, Alex. The Bobcat's been healed and was released today. He's free again." Alex's heart skipped a beat, and a flood of emotions rushed over him. He had been hoping for this moment, but now that it had come, he found himself overwhelmed. His hand shook slightly as he took the phone from Sarah, reading the message himself. For the first time in weeks, he felt a surge of pure joy, a sense of deep connection to the wild creature that had come into his life for such a short time. It was a victory not just for the Bobcat, but for him as well. He had played a role in saving this animal's life, and now that Bobcat was returning to the world it belonged to. "I can't believe it," Alex whispered, looking up at his mother with wide eyes. I saved him. He's free now." Sarah placed a gentle hand on her son's shoulder. "You did, Alex. You really did. And you should be proud of yourself. This is something that not everyone gets to experience." They both stood there for a while, letting the news sink in. It was as if the world around them paused for a moment, just to let them savor the victory. That afternoon, Sarah decided to take Alex out to park again, where the initial encounter with the Bobcat had taken place. She thought it might be a good idea for them to reflect on everything that had happened, to let the full weight of Alex's kindness and bravery settle in. They sat on a bench overlooking the same field where the Bobcat had first appeared. The memories were still fresh, but now they felt different. They weren't memories of pain or fear. They were memories of triumph, of compassion, and of healing. "You know, Mom," Alex said after a long silence, "I've been thinking. I want to keep helping animals. I don't want it to stop with just the Bobcat." Sarah smiled warmly, glad to hear her son's words. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Alex. You've always had such a big heart for animals. Helping them is one of the best things you can do with your life." Alex paused for a moment, then looked out at the empty field before him, his eyes full of resolve. "I want to be like the people at the rescue center. They're like heroes, saving lives and giving animals a second chance. I want to do that too. I want to help animals, not just the ones who are hurt, but all of them. I want to make sure they're treated well and that they don't have to suffer." Sarah's eyes softened with pride as she listened to her son's words. She had always known he had a caring nature, but hearing him articulate his desire to dedicate himself to helping animals touched her deeply. She had always believed that Alex would do great things, but now she saw a new path forming before him, one that was even more powerful than she could have imagined. "I think you'd be amazing at it," Sarah said, her voice full of encouragement. "Your heart is in the right place, and you have the passion. With that combination, you can make a difference. I'm so proud of you, Alex." Alex beamed, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude toward his mom. She had always supported him, and her belief in him gave him the strength to believe in himself. As they sat there, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the Bobcat. He imagined out there in the wild, running through the forest and climbing trees, free once again. And even though he would never see the animal again, he felt a sense of connection, as if a part of him had been left behind with the Bobcat. That tiny moment of their lives, their brief encounter, had changed him forever. It had shown him that small acts of kindness could ripple out into the world, creating a wave of compassion that spread far beyond what anyone could see. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky was painted in shades of pink and purple, Alex sat at the table with his family. His dad had come home from work, and they were all enjoying a quiet meal together. The conversation drifted toward the events of the day, and Alex found himself sharing his thoughts with his dad. "Dad, do you remember the Bobcat from the park? Well, they released him today, and he's doing better now. I helped save him." His father paused, his fork halfway at his mouth, and looked at Alex. There was a moment of silence before he set his fork down, his expression shifting from curiosity to something softer. "You know," his dad said, "I'm proud of you, son. You got a big heart, and that's not something everyone has. Helping that Bobcat, saving his life, is something special, and I can tell that it's changed you in a way that no one else can fully understand." Alex felt a lump form in his throat. It wasn't often that his father spoke to him like this, and the sincerity in his voice meant the world. "Thanks, Dad," Alex replied quietly. "I just want to help more animals. I want to do everything I can to make a difference." "I think you're on the right track," his dad said, smiling. "You've got something inside of you that's rare. Keep it alive, and who knows what you'll achieve." That night, as Alex lay in bed, his thoughts were filled with the images of the Bobcat running free in the wild. He thought about his mom's encouraging words, his dad's quiet pride, and the sense of accomplishment that lingered in his heart. He was no longer just a boy who would help an injured animal. He was someone who wanted to make the world a better place, one creature at a time. And he knew that his journey had only just begun. The weeks that followed felt like a whirlwind of new beginning for Alex. The memory of the Bobcat, now safely back in the wild, was still vivid in his mind, but it sparked something far greater within him. He was determined to make a difference, not just in his life, but in the lives of animals everywhere. With each passing day, his passion for animal rescue and welfare grew stronger. He began researching ways he could contribute more meaningfully to the cause he had discovered. Alex's parents noticed a change in him. He no longer spent hours glued to his video games or playing with his toys. Instead, he spent his time reading books on animal behavior, watching documentaries on wildlife conservation, and volunteering at the local animal shelter. His curiosity and determination to make an impact had turned into a full-blown mission, and Sarah and John couldn't be prouder. One afternoon, after a particularly long day at the shelter, Alex was sitting at the kitchen table, a stack of animal rescue pamphlets spread out in front of him. His mom was drying dishes nearby, and his dad was reading the newspaper. Alex had started feeling a little overwhelmed by all the information he had been consuming. There was so much to learn, and he didn't know where to begin. "Mom, I want to help more, but I don't know where to start," he confessed, frustration creeping into his voice. Sarah paused for a moment, considering her son's words carefully. She could see how deeply he cared, how much this mission had become a part of who he was. She knew this was more than just a phase for him. It was his calling. But like any great journey, it started with one small step. "You've already started, Alex," Sarah replied, her voice full of warmth and reassurance. "You've been volunteering, you've been learning, and you've been helping animals. The next step is just going to take a little more planning. I think you should set some goals for yourself." Alex nodded, his eyes lighting up. "What kind of goals?" "Well, maybe you could reach out to some local wildlife organizations or animal shelters and ask if they need volunteers or support. You could also look into creating a fundraiser for injured animals. Anything to help spread awareness about the importance of animal rescue and care," Sarah suggested. Alex thought about this for a moment. His mom was right. He had started something, but now it was time to take it to the next level. He needed a plan, a way to turn his passion into action. And with that, a new sense of excitement surged within him. He could make a real difference. He just needed to find the right path. "I'm going to do it," Alex said, determination in his voice. "I'll talk to the shelters, and I'll start a fundraiser. I'm going to help more animals. I have to." Sarah smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "I know you will, Alex. You've got a heart that's bigger than most. I believe in you." With that new sense of purpose, Alex set off on his mission. Over the next few weeks, he contacted various local wildlife organizations, asking how he could be of assistance. To his surprise, many of them responded with eagerness, impressed by his dedication. Some invited him to volunteer, while others suggested he create awareness campaigns for wildlife protection. It wasn't easy at first. Alex had to learn how to fundraise, how to organize events, and how to speak in front of groups of people. But each challenge only fueled his determination. Slowly but surely, Alex began to build a network of people who shared his passion for animal welfare. One evening, Alex was sitting in front of his computer, typing out an email to a national wildlife conservation organization. His heart raced with anticipation as he typed, sharing his vision for a fundraising event that would help raise money for injured wildlife. He had already arranged for a local park to host the event, and he was reaching out to local businesses to donate prizes for a raffle. His eyes scanned over the email one last time before hitting send. The next morning, when Alex checked his inbox, he saw a response. He clicked it open, his breath caught in his chest as he read the message. "Dear Alex, thank you so much for your email. We are truly inspired by your dedication to helping animals and your willingness to take on such a big project. We would love to support your fundraising event and provide materials to help spread awareness of the cause. Let's set up a meeting to discuss how we can work together to make this event a success. Looking forward to hearing from you. Best regards, the National Wildlife Conservation Team." Alex couldn't believe his eyes. He jumped up from his chair, fists clenched in excitement. His heart was pounding in his chest, and a huge smile spread across his face. This was the moment he had been waiting for. His dream was becoming a reality. The national organization had responded. They wanted to help him. He ran into the kitchen, where Sarah was cooking dinner. "Mom," they replied, "they want to help. They're going to support my event." Sarah turned around, her face lighting up with pride and excitement. "Alex, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. This is a huge step forward." "Mom, this is just the beginning. There's so much more I can do. I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm going to make this happen. I know I can." That night, as Alex lay in bed, he thought back to the bobcat, the one animal that had started it all. He thought about the pain it had gone through and how, with just a little help, it had been able to return to its natural home. He thought about how that moment had changed everything for him. It had shown him the power of compassion, the strength in small acts of kindness, and the importance of fighting for something greater than yourself. The path ahead was still unclear, but Alex knew one thing for certain. He wasn't going to stop until he had done everything he could to help animals in need. He had found his purpose, and he would never give up on it. The next few months were filled with planning and organizing, with Alex dedicating himself fully to his mission. He spoke at local schools, encouraging kids to help protect wildlife and to volunteer at shelters. He ran multiple fundraising events and, with the help of the wildlife organizations, raised thousands of dollars for injured animals. As the day of the event approached, Alex stood on the stage at the park, looking out at the crowd. Families, volunteers, and wildlife enthusiasts had gathered, all eager to support the cause. He felt a rush of emotions, but most of all, he felt proud. Proud of the work he had done, proud of the animals he had helped, and proud of the boy he had become. As the event kicked off, Alex spoke about the importance of wildlife conservation and how anyone, no matter their age, could make a difference. He shared the story of the injured bobcat and how it had sparked his journey. And as the sun set that evening, Alex knew deep down that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. He was on a mission, and nothing would stop him from achieving it. His love for animals had turned into a movement, and he was ready to make a real, lasting difference in the world. Months passed, and Alex's efforts to help injured and abandoned animals only grew stronger. The fundraiser he had organized was a resounding success, surpassing every expectation. The money raised was able to provide care for countless injured wildlife, and Alex's story was now being shared by local media outlets, inspiring people across the community. Alex had become a symbol of compassion, and his story began to spread like wildfire, making its way through social media channels and even reaching other states. People wanted to help. They wanted to support Alex's cause. Despite the overwhelming success, Alex remained humble. His focus was never on the recognition or the accolades. It had always been about the animals, especially those like the bobcat, who had been in desperate need of help. The more he worked, the more he felt an unshakable sense of purpose, knowing that he was making a real impact on the world. It wasn't just about giving them a second chance. It was about making the world a safer place for them, a place where compassion would reign. Alex's days were filled with tasks, managing the rescue efforts, coordinating with shelters, organizing community outreach programs, and speaking to people about wildlife conservation. He never grew tired of it. Each new challenge energized him, propelling him forward. But what fueled him most was the thought of the animals he was helping, the bobcat, the foxes, the injured birds. They had all become his family, and every time he helped one of them, he felt as though he was doing something important, something that mattered. One sunny afternoon, while Alex was volunteering at the shelter, he received an unexpected call. It was from the National Wildlife Conservation Team, the very same organization that had supported his fundraiser. The voice on the other end of the line was excited. "Alex, we've been following your progress, and we're really impressed with what you've done so far. We'd love to invite you to a special event. It's an awards ceremony, and we'd like to recognize you for your outstanding contributions to wildlife rescue and conservation. It's a big honor, and we want you to be a part of it." Alex's heart skipped a beat. An award? For what? He hadn't done any of this for recognition. It had always been about helping those who couldn't help themselves. But hearing the excitement in the woman's voice made him feel proud of the journey he had undertaken. He knew this wasn't just about the recognition. It was about spreading the message even further, reaching more people, and ultimately saving more lives. I don't know what to say. Thank you. "I'd be honored to attend," Alex said, his voice filled with both disbelief and excitement. The event was held in a grand hall, with influential conservationists, philanthropists, and animal advocates from all over the country in attendance. Alex's heart raced as he stepped into the room, surrounded by so many people who shared his passion for protecting wildlife. It was a dream come true, and though he still felt out of place among the crowd, he knew deep down that this was a moment he had worked tirelessly for. He wasn't sure what to expect, but he knew that this was just another chapter in his journey. Alex had often dreamed of being in the presence of these influential figures, but now, standing there among them, he realized that he had become a part of the movement he had once only read about. It was no longer just about saving a single bobcat or raising money for animal rescue. It was about the broader picture, the collective effort to change the way society viewed animals, to advocate for their rights and well-being, to create a world where no creature was left to suffer alone. When the time came for Alex to receive his award, he stood nervously at the podium. The applause was deafening as the presenters introduced him, but it wasn't the applause that mattered most to him. It was the message he was about to share with the world. This moment was his opportunity to speak up for the voiceless and share his mission with people who could help amplify his efforts. His nervousness was replaced by a calm, clear resolve. He knew what he had to say. The spotlight shone down on him as he spoke, his voice steady despite the emotions that swelled within him. He wasn't just speaking to the crowd. He was speaking for the animals, for the bobcat, for every injured creature who couldn't speak for itself. "Thank you so much for this incredible honor. I'm standing here today because of a simple moment, a moment that changed my life forever. It started with a bobcat, an animal in need of help. I never imagined that one small act of kindness could lead to something so much bigger, but here we are, working together to save animals and give them a chance to heal. I've seen firsthand how compassion can make a world of difference, not just for one individual animal, but for entire communities. When people care, change happens." Alex paused, his eyes scanning the room of faces, each one filled with hope and dedication. He could feel the weight of their collective passion, and it fueled him even more. "I'm not here because of any recognition. I'm here because every animal in need deserves a chance. And if we all did our part, if we all took a moment to help, just imagine the difference we could make. I've seen the power of kindness, and I believe that every small effort counts. Whether it's rescuing an injured bobcat or simply sharing our story with others, we can all contribute to this cause." Alex's words struck a chord with everyone present. It wasn't just the sincerity in his voice, but the passion that burned within him, a passion that could not be ignored. He wasn't asking for applause. He was asking for people to take action, to stand up and help in whatever way they could. "I promise you this is just the beginning. I will continue to fight for animals, to give them a voice, and to help them when they need it most. This is our fight, all of ours, and together we can make the world a better place for them." The room erupted in applause, and Alex felt a rush of pride and gratitude. But it was more than just an award. It was validation for everything he had worked toward. He was no longer just a young boy who loved animals. He was now a leader in a movement, someone who could inspire others to act and change the lives of countless animals in need. After the ceremony, Alex was approached by numerous people, animal welfare advocates, journalists, and even people from other countries who had heard of his efforts. Each conversation was a reminder of just how far he had come and how much further he could go. That evening, as he stood outside the grand hall, looking up at the stars, Alex felt an overwhelming sense of peace. This was what he had dreamed of, using his voice and his passion to make a real difference. He had proven that anyone, no matter their age, could make an impact. It wasn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It was about taking action, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. He pulled out his phone and sent a quick message to Sarah and John. "I did it, Mom, Dad. The event went well, and I got an award. But it's not about the award. It's about helping more animals, and I'm not stopping now. I'll keep going." The reply came in a matter of seconds. "We're so proud of you, Alex. Keep going and keep making a difference. We love you." As Alex stood there, looking at the message, he realized that the Bobcat story had touched more than just his life. It had changed the lives of countless others. His journey had only just begun, and the future was full of possibilities. Alex now knew, more than ever, that he was exactly where he was meant to be, and the animals, like the bobcat, would always have a friend in him. The days following Alex's award ceremony were filled with a new sense of purpose. His life, once focused solely on school and small acts of kindness, had blossomed into something far greater than he ever imagined. The recognition he received had opened doors, and soon the calls came in from various animal rescue organizations, wildlife protection groups, and even government agencies. All wanted to collaborate with him. Alex found himself at the center of a movement, not just as a young boy who loved animals, but as a force of nature, an advocate for those who could not speak for themselves. As the months passed, Alex continued his work with unyielding determination. The money raised from his fundraiser had allowed the rescue group to expand its operations. They were now able to provide emergency care for more animals, build better rehabilitation facilities, and even start educating the community about the importance of wildlife preservation. With every animal saved, Alex's resolve grew stronger. One day, while he was volunteering at the shelter, Alex received a message that would change the course of his work forever. The message was from a major national wildlife organization that specialized in the rescue of endangered species. They had heard about Alex's efforts and wanted him to become an official partner in their nationwide conservation initiative. They recognized his work and believed his efforts could help influence change on a larger scale. Alex was humbled by the offer, but he knew this was his moment, his opportunity to step into the spotlight and do something even bigger. His dream of expanding his work beyond the borders of his local community was finally within reach. The opportunity to work on a national level would mean more animals saved, more awareness raised, and more lives impacted. He immediately accepted, and with it, his small rescue operation became part of a national movement dedicated to wildlife preservation. Alex's role was not just to rescue and rehabilitate. He was now a voice in the media, sharing stories of endangered species, speaking at conferences, and educating the public on how they could contribute to wildlife protection. His success wasn't just due to his love for animals. It was his genuine compassion, his unwavering commitment, and the deep emotional bond he shared with every creature he encountered. That was his secret, the connection he forged with each animal he rescued. Every bobcat, every fox, every owl, and every bird that came to his door became more than just another case. They became part of his family. As Alex worked with the national organization, he also continued his own mission. The bobcat's rescue was still the catalyst that drove him. The story of the bobcat, broken and abandoned, and the way Alex had helped it, remained at the heart of his journey. It was a moment he realized that no act of kindness was too small and that every life mattered. But it wasn't just about rescuing injured animals. It was about creating a world where animals had a place in society, where they were respected and protected, where their well-being was a priority. Over time, Alex expanded his efforts. He started advocating for better laws to protect wildlife habitats, organizing awareness campaigns, and creating safe spaces where animals could thrive. His voice became a powerful tool in the fight for animal rights, and people listened. With every campaign he launched, with every story he told, more people became aware of the plight of the animals that lived alongside them, and with that awareness came change. One sunny afternoon, as Alex sat in the park, watching the wildlife around him, he was approached by a familiar face. It was Sarah, holding a young girl by the hand. The little girl, around 6 years old, was wide-eyed as she looked at the animals. Sarah smiled at Alex and nodded toward the girl. "Alex," Sarah said warmly, "this is Emma. She's been learning about your work at school, and she wanted to meet you." The little girl shyly stepped forward, her eyes filled with admiration. "Are you the boy who saved the bobcat?" she asked, her voice full of awe. Alex smiled, kneeling down to her level. "Yes, I am, but I didn't save the bobcat alone. It was a team effort, and there are so many more animals we still need to help." Emma's face lit up. "I want to help too," she said eagerly. "What can I do?" Alex's heart swelled with pride as he looked at the young girl, inspired by her eagerness to make a difference. "You already have the most important thing you need," he said. "A kind heart. That's all it takes to make a difference." He handed her a small pamphlet with information about local wildlife rescue efforts. "You can start by sharing what you've learned. talking to your friends, and helping them understand why animals need our help. When you're older, you can even volunteer at the shelter, just like I did. Emma beamed, clutching the pamphlet to her chest. I will. I promise. As Emma and her mother walked away, Alex watched them go, a feeling of contentment washing over him. He had come a long way from the boy who had found the injured bobcat, and now he was not only helping animals, but inspiring others to do the same. The legacy of that single moment, the moment he had bent down to help the injured bobcat, was growing, touching lives far beyond what he had ever imagined. As the years went by, Alex's work continued to thrive. He grew older, but his passion for wildlife never faded. The small rescue organization he had started was now a full-fledged nonprofit, operating nationwide and supporting conservation efforts around the world. He had never stopped believing in the power of kindness, and his belief had inspired others to take action. And through it all, the Bobcat's legacy lived on. It wasn't just about saving animals. It was about creating a world where kindness reigned, where compassion was a driving force behind every action, and where every living being, whether human or animal, had a chance to thrive. Alex had become the change he wanted to see in the world. And in doing so, he had created a future where no animal would ever suffer in silence again. The journey had begun with Broken Leg, but had turned into something far more beautiful, a movement, a legacy, and a future where compassion and kindness would always guide the way.